January is a strange month. It arrives quietly, almost innocently, yet it carries the weight of the entire year on its shoulders. People think the year is long, that there is plenty of time, that February, March, or June will somehow fix what January did not begin. But life does not work that way. The truth is simple and slightly uncomfortable. If you win January, you don't have to chase the year. And if you lose January, the year will spend the next 11 months chasing you. Let me begin with a small story. There was once a farmer who owned 2 fields. Every year, when winter ended, he would look at the fields and decide where to put his effort. One field was close to his house, easy to reach. The other was far, required a long walk, and the soil looked hard and uninviting. Every January, the farmer had a choice. Prepare the far field early, remove stones, soften the soil, or ignore it and promise himself he would work harder later. For years, he chose the easier option. He told himself, there is time, the season is long. But when harvest came, the near field gave him something, and the far field gave him almost nothing. One year, tired of struggling, he decided to do the hard work in the beginning. Cold mornings, sore hands, slow progress. Neighbors laughed. Why are you working so hard so early? But when harvest season arrived, that far field gave him abundance. The farmer realized something that year. The harvest was not decided in the final months. It was decided in the first few weeks. January is that far field. Cold, uncomfortable, demanding effort when motivation is low. But if you prepare it well, the rest of the year becomes easier, lighter, and more natural. Most people misunderstand January. They think January is about motivation. Motivation is exciting, loud, and emotional. It comes with big promises and dramatic declarations. But January is not about motivation. January is about direction. If direction is right, even slow steps take you forward. If direction is wrong, even running will exhaust you without progress. Let me tell you another story. A young boy once asked his grandfather why some people seem calm all year while others are always stressed. The grandfather took him outside and pointed to 2 rivers. One was narrow but flowing steadily. The other was wide, noisy, and overflowing at the beginning but dried up later. The quiet river, the grandfather said, started flowing early and kept going without drama. The loud one rushed all its water at once and had nothing left. January is when you choose which river you will be. Winning January does not mean doing everything. It means doing the right small things consistently. It means deciding how you wake up, how you speak to yourself, how you spend your first hour, how you respond when things don't go as planned. These decisions look small, almost invisible. But invisible decisions create visible destinies. There is a powerful illusion we live with, the illusion that big changes come from big actions. In reality, big changes come from small actions done repeatedly, especially at the beginning. January magnifies small habits. A 10-minute walk in January becomes a lifestyle by December. A page of reading in January becomes wisdom by year end. A few minutes of silence in January becomes emotional strength later. I once met a man who had transformed his life completely within 2 years. When asked how he did it, people expected a dramatic answer. Instead, he smiled and said, I stopped negotiating with my alarm clock in January. That was it. No complicated plan. He simply decided that when the alarm rang, he would get up. That single decision changed his mornings. Better mornings changed his days. Better days changed his relationships. And better relationships changed his life. He didn't chase success. Success slowly walked toward him because he won January. Most people chase the year because they keep postponing discomfort. They tell themselves, after winter, I'll start. Once work slows down, I'll focus. When life becomes easier, I'll change. But life never becomes easier on its own. Life becomes easier when you become stronger. January gives you the first opportunity to build that strength. There is another small story I love. A teacher once gave 2 students the same assignment. Write 1 page every day for a year. One student laughed. That's too simple. It won't make a difference. The other student followed it faithfully. At the end of the year, the first student had nothing but excuses. The second had a book. When asked how it happened, the second student said, I didn't write a book. I just wrote one page in January, then one page the next day, and I never stopped. Winning January is about removing drama from self-improvement. No announcements, no social media declarations, no pressure to feel inspired, just quiet discipline, silent consistency, gentle firmness with yourself. People often ask, what if I miss a day? That question itself shows the wrong mindset. January is not about perfection. It is about identity. You are becoming the kind of person who shows up. Missing once is human. Giving up is a choice. When you win January, you stop seeing habits as tasks and start seeing them as part of who you are. Think about a tree. In January, the tree looks lifeless. No leaves, no fruit. But deep inside, roots are growing. Strength is being built underground. No one claps for roots. No one praises silent growth. But without strong roots, the tree cannot stand storms. Your January habits are your roots. No applause, no recognition, but everything depends on them. I remember a story of a marathon runner who was asked what the hardest part of the race was. People expected him to say the last miles. He shook his head. The hardest part, he said, is training when no one is watching, especially at the beginning of the season. January is that training season. No medals, no finish line excitement, just quiet preparation. If you win January, something magical happens. You stop chasing motivation because momentum takes over. Momentum is far more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes, momentum stays. January is where momentum is born. There was a woman who wanted to improve her relationships. She realized her problem was not others, it was her reactions. In January, she made one small rule: pause before responding. Just pause. 3 seconds. That was her habit. At first, it felt awkward, but by mid-year, people noticed she was calmer. By December, conflicts around her reduced drastically. She didn't attend workshops. She didn't read 10 books. She simply practiced one small habit from January onward. The year does not defeat people. People defeat themselves by underestimating beginnings. January is not loud. That is why it is powerful. It gives you space to decide who you will be when life becomes busy again. Many people say, I'll start once I feel ready. Readiness is overrated. Responsibility is underrated. You don't win January by feeling ready. You win it by showing up anyway. Let me tell you one final story. A potter was teaching his students. He divided them into 2 groups. One group was told they would be graded on quantity. The more pots they made, the better. The other group was told they would be graded on quality. Only, nay, perfect pot. At the end of the year, the best pots came from the quantity group. Why? Because they started immediately. They made mistakes early. They learned faster. The quality group waited, planned, delayed, and feared failure. January is for the quantity group. Start, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. If you win January, you don't have to chase the year because the year starts cooperating with you. Your mornings align. Your mind becomes clearer. Your confidence grows quietly. Opportunities feel less stressful because you are prepared. Problems don't disappear, but you face them with stability. And here is the most beautiful part. Winning January does not require talent, money, or luck. It requires decision. A calm, firm decision that says, I will do small things daily, especially when no one is watching. You don't need a new life. You need a better start. And January is that start. So don't ask yourself, can I change my whole year? Ask yourself, can I win today? Because winning today again and again quietly is how you win January. And when January is won, the rest of the year doesn't need to be chased. It walks with you, step by step, all the way to the end. And once January is won, something subtle but powerful begins to happen inside you. You may not notice it immediately because real change is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not ask for validation. But one day, in the middle of the year, you suddenly realize that you are no longer struggling the way you used to. Things that once required effort now feel natural. Discipline no longer feels like punishment. It feels like self-respect. There is a reason elders always emphasize beginnings. In ancient times, People believe that the way you start a journey decides the spirit with which you travel. January sets the spirit of your year, not through grand resolutions, but through tiny, repeatable actions that tell your mind, I can trust myself. And trust in yourself is the foundation of inner strength. Many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they break promises to themselves early. January is full of silent promises. I will wake up earlier. I will take care of my health. I will control my anger. I will focus on what matters. When these promises are broken in January, self-doubt quietly enters. And when self-doubt enters, the year becomes heavy. You start chasing motivation, chasing validation, chasing results. But when you keep even one promise to yourself in January, confidence grows. Not loud confidence, calm confidence. The kind that does not need to prove anything. There is a beautiful story about a monk who lived in a monastery high in the mountains. A young man once visited him and asked, "How do you stay so peaceful all year?" The monk smiled and said, "I do not stay peaceful all year. I stay peaceful today." The young man was confused. The monk explained, "Every morning, I decide how I will live this day. When tomorrow comes, it becomes today again." January teaches you this wisdom in practice. You don't win the year by thinking about December. You win it by honoring today, especially when today is cold, slow, and uncomfortable. When you win January, you stop being reactive. Most people live reactively. They react to moods, to people, to situations. January gives you the chance to become proactive, to choose your response, to choose your rhythm, to choose your priorities before the world starts pulling you in every direction. There was once a man who used to complain that life always controlled him. Work pressure, family expectations, financial stress, everything dictated his mood. One January, he decided to take back just one thing, his mornings. He woke up 30 minutes earlier and sat quietly with a cup of tea. No phone, no noise. That was all. Over time, those 30 minutes became his anchor. No matter how chaotic the day became, he knew he had already won the day in the morning. By the end of the year, people said he had changed. He hadn't changed his job or his family. He had changed his January habit. Winning January is not about becoming strict. It is about becoming sincere. Sincere with your energy. Sincere with your time. Sincere with your inner voice. January exposes what you truly value, not what you claim to value. If you say health matters but you ignore your body in January, the year will reflect that truth. If you say peace matters but you fill January with noise and chaos, the year will echo that noise. Another story comes to mind. A student once approached his teacher and said, "I want to succeed, but I keep failing." The teacher asked, "What do you do first when you wake up?" The student replied, "I check my phone." The teacher smiled gently and said, "Then your day begins with other people's priorities, not yours." January is the month where you can reclaim that first moment, that first hour. And when you control the first hour, you influence the next 23. If you win January, your relationship with time changes. You stop feeling chased by deadlines and expectations. Instead, you start leading your time. You begin to understand that time is not managed by tools but by choices. January teaches you to choose deliberately. People often underestimate how deeply the mind is shaped by repetition. The mind believes what it sees repeatedly. When in January, the mind repeatedly sees you showing up, exercising lightly, reading a few pages, choosing silence over argument, choosing patience over impulse, it starts to believe a new story about you. This is who I am. And once identity shifts, effort reduces. You no longer force habits. Habits follow identity. Thank you. There is a saying, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. January is where systems are born. Simple systems, gentle systems, sustainable systems. Not heroic effort, but daily rhythm. I once heard about a musician who wanted to master an instrument. Instead of practicing for hours, he practiced for 15 minutes every day without fail. No matter how busy, no matter how tired. 15 minutes. Years later, when asked about his success, he said, I never chased excellence. I just protected my January habit every day of the year. That is the secret. Protect the habit, and the habit protects you. When January is lost, people spend the rest of the year trying to fix things with intensity. Intense workouts, intense work hours, intense stress. But intensity without consistency leads to burnout. January teaches consistency, and consistency creates calm strength. There is also a spiritual dimension to January. It invites you to slow down and listen. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your body. Listen to what truly matters. The world is loud, but January is still relatively quiet. Use that quiet. In silence, clarity is born. If you win January, you become less dependent on external validation. You stop needing applause to continue. You learn the joy of progress for its own sake. This inner satisfaction is rare, and it is powerful. It makes you steady, and steady people are difficult to shake. Let me share one more story. A sculptor was asked how he created such beautiful statues. He replied, "I simply remove what does not belong." January is that process for life. You don't add too much. You remove distractions. You remove excuses. You remove unnecessary noise. What remains is your true potential. The year does not need to be chased, because when you align your actions early, life starts aligning with you. Opportunities don't overwhelm you because you are ready. Challenges don't break you because you are grounded. Even failures don't discourage you because your foundation is strong. Winning January does not mean you will never struggle. It means when you struggle, you won't fall apart. You will bend, not break. And that resilience comes from the quiet victories no one saw. So as January stands before you, don't see it as just another month. See it as a doorway. Walk through it consciously, gently, firmly. Choose one or two habits. Keep them small. Keep them sacred. Protect them like you would protect something precious. Because if you win January, you don't have to chase the year. The year begins to trust you. And when life trusts you, it gives you more responsibility, more growth, and more grace. Win January, not with force, but with faith in small steps. And you will look back one day, not amazed by how fast the year went, but grateful for how steadily you walked through it. And as you continue walking this steady path, you begin to understand something very important about life. Pressure reduces when preparation increases. Most people feel anxious not because life is difficult, but because they feel unprepared. January quietly prepares you. It does not rush you. It does not shout at you. It simply asks, what are you willing to do when it is uncomfortable and no one is watching? When you win January, your relationship with effort changes. Effort no longer feels like resistance, it feels like alignment. You stop fighting yourself. You stop arguing with your own mind. That inner conflict, where one part of you wants growth and the other wants comfort, slowly settles. You learn how to guide yourself instead of forcing yourself. There is a small but powerful story about a shepherd and his flock. The shepherd noticed that whenever he rushed the sheep, they scattered and resisted. But when he walked calmly ahead, they followed naturally. Your mind is like that flock. January teaches you to lead yourself calmly, not with fear or pressure, but with clarity and patience. Many people believe discipline is harsh, but true discipline is gentle. It does not insult you when you fail. It does not shout when you slow down. It simply reminds you of your direction. January discipline is like a quiet reminder, not a loud command. When January habits settle in, something else begins to shift. Your emotional strength. You stop reacting instantly. You pause more. You think before you speak. This emotional gap, this small pause, becomes your greatest power. Because in that pause, wisdom enters. I remember hearing about a man who used to regret his words constantly. He spoke quickly, emotionally, and later wished he could take his words back. One January, he made a simple rule. I will not respond immediately when I feel triggered. That was all. No complex psychology, no long analysis, just a pause. Over the months, his relationships healed. People trusted him more. He felt lighter. All because of a small January habit. Winning January also teaches you humility. You realize that you don't need to change everything at once. You stop being arrogant with your goals and start being respectful toward the process. You understand that growth is not a race, it is a rhythm. There is a quiet confidence that comes when you are consistent early in the year. It is not the confidence that shows off. It is the confidence that stays calm during chaos. Others may panic mid-year. Others may rush, compare, and complain. But you move steadily because you already did the hard part when it mattered most. The year becomes easier not because life becomes simpler, but because you become stronger. Stronger habits, stronger mind, stronger boundaries, stronger patience. People often ask, how do I stay consistent all year? The answer is simple. Don't aim to stay consistent all year. Aim to stay consistent today. January trains you in this mindset. It shrinks your focus. And when focus shrinks, success expands. There is an old wisdom that says, the sun rises every day. Not because it is motivated, but because it is consistent. Be like that sun. Quiet, reliable, unbothered by opinions. January is when you begin rising at the same time every day. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Winning January also changes how you deal with failure. When failure comes later in the year, and it will, you don't collapse. You don't quit. Because January taught you something essential. Missing once does not mean stopping forever. You simply return, calmly, without guilt, without drama. I once met a woman who had failed multiple times in her goals. She believed she was weak. But when she focused on January habits, she realized she was not weak. She was inconsistent. When she removed self-judgment and focused on daily action, her entire self-image changed. This is what January gives you, a new self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. And that shift changes everything. When you win January, you also become more selective. You guard your energy better. You say no more easily. You stop overcommitting. Because January teaches you that energy is limited and precious. You learn that saying no to distractions is saying yes to your future. There is peace in this selectiveness. You don't feel guilty for choosing yourself. You don't feel selfish for protecting your time. You understand that a strong foundation requires focus. As months pass, people may not notice your growth immediately. And that is okay. Real growth does not seek attention. Like roots under the soil, it works silently. But when storms come, and storms always come, you remain standing. The year does not need to be chased because you are no longer running from yourself. You are walking with yourself, in alignment, in honesty, in patience. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you look back and see how far you have come. Not through big moments, but through small, daily victories. That is when gratitude replaces anxiety. That is when peace replaces pressure. January is not just a month. It is a mindset of starting gently, staying steady.